obviously disappointed about the game on Saturday, disappointed in the result. I thought our guys went out there and at times played really good football. As I told you, I haven't talked to the team yet, but we went out there and spotted them 14 points, and kind of settled down. I was really proud of some guys. We had some guys like Greg Roberts really lead the way, settle our group down, and for the next 31 minutes of the game, from spotting in that 14-point lead for the next 31 minutes, we outscored OU 23-21. I thought our guys fought. I thought they hung in there. They scored right before the half, came out of the half, went down and scored. They scored. We scored again. And unfortunately, at the end, got away from us. They were able to make a few more plays than we were able to make. It was a 12-point game with 6-something left in the third quarter. And as I sat here with you guys last week, that's what I talked about, surviving that early rally, trying to push the game to the fourth quarter. And, we did that. Just weren't able to quite short up at the end. And, as I told the team, we could have probably gone out there at the end and run the ball and try to keep the score close, but I didn't care if we lost 34-33 or 66-33. It's not about how we look. We wanted to compete to the end. We wanted to fight to the end. We were going to go for it. We were going to onside kick it, and we did that. And I was proud of a lot of guys on our team. As I told them, I wasn't happy with the result, but as I stood there on the field, there were a bunch of guys that wanted to keep playing and wanted to finish the game out and wanted to go play one more play on that field. So that I truly respect. I'd like to say just two things because I've had some people text me and ask me, I don't even know if this is out there, but they said, hey, looked like you and Coach Riley had a heated conversation at the end. I don't know if that's out there. I don't really pay attention, but I thanked him for his class. I think Lincoln Riley's a classy individual. And when he won the Big 12 last year, I called him to congratulate him. When his tailback Anderson got hurt, I texted him and said, please, let him know we're thinking about him. And I just thought a hard-fought game, lots of flags, lots of penalties. But, at the end of the day, when I took that 15-yard penalty, he could have tried to pile on or whatever, but he didn't, and I respected that. And at the same time, we played till the end. And as I told him, I said, hope you understand that we're trying to build a program where we're going to play to the last second on the clock, and he certainly understood that. So I just want to make sure that's out there because I have a lot of respect for him and I have a lot of respect for the game. And, I got my first penalty that I've ever gotten. And, you guys know my father's on the sideline with me and my son's on the sideline with me. And my son asked me afterwards, he said, Dad, how come you got a penalty? He's never seen that from me before. And, I explained it to him. And, it's called an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And I'll just say this, I'm not unsportsmanlike. And I got that penalty because I thought it was time to stand up for our players. And as I told you after the game, Charlie walked off the field and he said, Coach, thank you. That means a lot. And, he shouldn't have to feel that way. But, sometimes in life enough's enough and you have to stand up for your players. And that's the biggest thing for me as I sit here. We're sitting here 3-2 and we're getting ready to play a Kansas State team to try to get to 4-2. And I think about our seniors and I think about everything that they've been through and all the stuff. And Greg Roberts played his best football game on Saturday. And a lot of guys played their best football on Saturday at times. Not all of them, but those seniors. What's their experience been like? And so, I don't complain about officiating. We played Duke, and they didn't. Not a penalty was thrown on the other team. I didn't say a word about that. I respect officials so much because we're allowed to play this game because those guys, they have other jobs and other lives, and they allow us to play this game. They're good men, and but I have to defend our players, especially when it comes to like physically, and we're not an undisciplined team. We're not. We had 13 penalties last week, and we got a bunch of young kids out there that some of them are playing maybe a little bit before they're ready, and some of them are getting some holding calls, and they're playing really hard. But we're not an undisciplined team, and we're holding about as much as the rest of college football. All right, we're playing about the rest. We're playing the same as the other team across from us is, and I just feel for our players sometimes, and so. As I said after the game, I hated getting 15 yards. I hated my son seeing that. My father was kind of walking up and down, but someone has to stand up for our players. At some point, it needs to be about the seniors and the juniors and the kids on our team in terms of everything. Outside noise, everyone has a different agenda. My agenda is the Baylor football players and the 120 guys that are in there, and making sure that they have the best experience possible. During that game, I mean, there were 2 touchdowns where the tackle false started. I didn't say, I didn't say a word about that. There was, probably 3 touchdowns that should have been called back. I don't care about that. Officials have a job to do, and they got to work their tails off. But when we go play Kansas and Charlie runs a quarterback sneak, he's going to get face masked. When they're overturning and targeting, when we're getting shoved into the bench, when Charlie's getting shoved out of bounds and falls down, when Ebner gets his face mask pulled, someone's got to stand up. And if I have to take 15, if that puts us in a bad position, so be it. But I want to protect the players. First drive, Clay came around, got shoved in the back, hits the quarterback low. That's not a penalty. But I understood why they called it. They have a job to do, and they have to protect the players. Well, I want Charlie protected, and I want Treston protected, and I want Platt and all of our seniors protected. And so I'm saying that from a on-the-field perspective, but I'm also saying that in general. My focus is our team and our players. And it wasn't good enough on Saturday. You can't spot a team like that, 14 points. But we played a lot better than the score indicated. And we are not just wantonly out there grabbing people. We're playing just like everyone else does. And it's time for, in my opinion, Baylor to stand up and fight for itself. It's time for our players to go fight, And so I wanted to stand up for our players. And I wanted to stand up for Charlie and Jalen and all the guys that go out there and lay it on the line. And I'll do that again this week. I'll fight my tail off here. I'm doing that right now. I'll probably hear about it. But our players deserve this, and they deserve more. And they deserve to leave here being proud of the school they went to, the experience they had, and what they did in the wins and the losses. And I was proud of our team. I wish we would have fought a little bit more in the fourth quarter with some of the young kids. But a lot of guys gained a lot of valuable experience. So we'll look ahead to Kansas State, a very disciplined team, a team that had no penalties last week, a team that's stout on defense, plays 2 quarterbacks, and we'll try to shore up our defense, try to play a little bit better on special teams, and try to continue to improve our running game as we get ready to face Coach Schneider, the coaching legend that he is. So with that, I'll see what questions you guys have.
Matt, you mentioned Charlie was on the run a lot. How much does the offensive line need to improve to protect him, especially like you said against a good K-State defense?
I thought the O-line played pretty well at times. I mean, you start going 60 passes, you're gonna scramble around. A lot of those sacks kind of happened at the end, though there were some in the middle. John Carlo's first start, he has to get a lot better. He knows that. John Carlo has to get a lot better. And Frew Morgan's second start, he's got to get a lot better. Thought Platt and Blake and Tech were good. I thought at times, the run game was coming along. That first drive, the second half, where we went right down the field and scored. We were running the football. A hold here or a hold there, or the score got away from us, and it became a little bit more of a drop-back pass game. But really, it's not even one-on-one battles. It's just those guys having the veteran presence to kind of pass off some twists. And that's also part of what Charlie does too, though. He likes to get outside the pocket and make things happen. And some of those big plays were throws on the run. Platt turned one up. So we have to improve in every area, in a lot of areas. But really, the offensive line protection is probably one of the main ones. And really more on that left side. Those guys they just need more time. They just need a little. We don't have time, but they just need to keep playing. And that's why, I love our second O-line. And normally I'd put them in at the end of that game, but I just thought those guys needed to play, and so I played them. And I wish I would have got some of the other younger kids in. They work hard. They deserve to play, but they'll get a chance to get in here some more. But just John Carlo's second start. Hopefully he'll take another step, and Frew Morgan's third start, I'm sure he'll take another step.
Matt, going kind of back to your statement, I know you have to be careful about how you phrase things with the officials, but have y'all looked at the film and taken certain plays and compiled those together and sent them off, or and said, hey, look at this, or
Yeah, there's a great process we go through every week, and like I said, my comment is, I don't want to make sure my comment is not about officiating. Things happen, mistakes happen, It's just what I don't want is my son to look at me and think I'm a wild man on the sidelines. Like, why are you always yelling? At the end of the day, if you false start and score a touchdown, it should come back, and that's holds, things like that. That's football, right? But at the end of the day, my statement was about the players and the player safety. And I just think that, and I thought because when flags start hitting the ground, what they do is that's controlling the game. You start backing off how you're playing. And so, we started the game with 3 penalties in the first 2 drives, 1 on defense and 2 on offense. So we're a young team. We'll kind of back off a little bit, and we need to be more aggressive to have a chance. And so, I just want to make sure my son understands why I'm out there, fighting for my team. Because, I think the one thing is, again, I have the guys that are out there. They have other life. They're there to work, right? And so I don't let my team talk to the officials. Like, we're not a team where the players are yapping. They have a job to do. But it's me. And so, but, my first penalty in 19 years of coaching, I feel like I need to address it and say why. And but yeah, the process is good. You send them in. There's fair. I'm not, again, like I said, if you ask me, I'd say there were 3, 4, 5 touchdowns that should have come back. But I'm not. That's not really it. I didn't get a penalty for any of those. I got a penalty when, my players. I feel like hey, like, we're going to protect their quarterback. Let's protect ours as well. And I think that's why Charlie said thank you. And I think that's why I've had parents, not Charlie's parents, other parents, text me and call me and say thank you. Because, again, our players, this is what it should all be about, right? And it should be about our players. I was sitting there telling the players, if I was worried about me, I would have tried to keep that game close and try to lose like 42-30 and, everyone feels good. No, we went to win. So it's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's about our players. And so that's why I did that. But, yeah, there's a very fair process. You send them in. Guys are great. They give you feedback. You learn stuff. You learn, why isn't this why isn't this a penalty? Why isn't that a penalty? All those things. You learn them all.
Matt, when you look at the explosives that Oklahoma had, is a lot of times, is it one missed assignment? What are you seeing in those? We got, guy one is one-on-one, a couple of them. So it wasn't like really missed assignments. It was a guy catching the ball and running and us not getting him down. They hit us on a long pass early in the game and just ran by. That's like 2 like deep zone coverages where you're saying, hey, no one's going to throw the ball behind us, and 2 different guys, but in both plays, they just outran us down the middle of the field. So, but then it really was more sort of like the catch. The ones at the end, we had some missed tackles and stuff, but really the ones in the meat of the game that hurt us were their guys catching the ball and making long runs and making big plays, and that's credit to them. I mean, we knew coming in, what their guys were capable of, and we knew we had to get them on the ground, and in those plays we weren't able to.
Talk about wanting to build the toughness with this team. When your quarterback, Charlie's going out there, he's getting hit, he's taking all these hits and getting back up and wanting to go back into the game. How important is that for the rest of your team to see the way that he handles himself in those situations? Extremely
vital. I mean, he took that big hit, I was going to take him out, and he grabbed his helmet and said, I'm going back out there and we're going to score again. And that's really what that's really what it is to me. Is I'm looking for the people that love to play and want to compete. A lot of guys, a lot of our kids, man, they have so much pressure on them. And I say in general, not on this team, anywhere I've ever coached, they're worried about the future. They're worried about this. They're worried about that. They're worried about, but like, look at like Chris Platt coming off an injury. He's out there on the second to last drive catching a long ball, or the last drive catching a long ball. Mims, Hurd, he's going to get drafted. He's out there. He's catching a fade route late in the fourth quarter to try to go win the game. So finding guys that love to compete so much that they want to play and they're not worried about anything else but playing, that's really, really important to me. And I thought Charlie was a tremendous example of that. Like, he just wanted to keep playing, and he knew he was taking hits. He knew he was getting beat up, but he was also moving the team. He's also throwing for a lot of yards. He's also competing, and that's all this game's about is competing. And we can coach it, we can talk about it, but at the end of the day, finding guys that love to do it is really, really important. I thought we had a lot of them. I thought, in that offensive huddle, JaMychal Hasty, those guys, they wanted to keep playing all day. They wanted to fight. And on defense, there were a lot of guys out there that wanted to keep going. Great, like I said. So it wasn't good enough, but there were some things there that gave me hope for where our team is headed.
Charlie took that big hit. Adrenaline probably got him back into the game, but how did he feel the next day?
He came in my office yesterday. I said, how you feeling? He said, pretty good. I said, how'd you feel when you woke up? And he said, well, I said, I felt like I had just slept for 2 days, that he slept really good. But yeah, I'm sure he's sore, banged up, but I also know he'll be ready to go today.
Coach, the Kansas State offense is very different from what you saw last week. How do you see your team matching up with them?
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest thing about Kansas State is just twofold. Number one, they're physical, tough. They run the ball downhill at you. they control the clock, and they don't beat themselves. And the second part of it is that they have the added component of the quarterback run. So, we played them last year, and they kept running the quarterback, and that was the difference in the game. And, they have two quarterbacks that they'll play. Both can run, both can throw. So it'll come down to, in my opinion, if we want to play run defense, we're going to have to be able to cover outside. And if we decide to play, base defense, then some guys are going to have to make a play, because anytime you run the quarterback, you add, a blocker. The running back now blocking for him, so you're outnumbered at the point of attack. So we're going to have to make a step in that direction in terms of stopping the run, which has been, sort of an Achilles heel at times for us. And when the quarterback runs it, we can't let it be an explosive. So that'll be the focus this week. Is it's something new, it's something different, and our guys really up front in the front seven, getting back to the basics of getting off blocks and making tackles. They're not a team that gets a lot of negative plays, but trying to create some negative plays.
Matt, kind of related to Jerry's question, I think. Can you explain what toxic differential is, and is it not where you want it to be right now?
Well, we've won the toxic differential, and I think in all the games but last game. So that last game, and I can't remember with Duke where it was. I think we had some explosive late, but so toxic differential. A lot of people would say it's probably the number one stat in the NFL. It's when you take the turnover margin, right? So, if we take the ball away 3 times and give it away once, then we're +2, and you take the explosive play margin, right? So a lot of people do it differently. Some say we say 20-yard plays. So if you take the explosive plays and the turnover battle and combine them, then you're either plus or minus. And it's amazing how it's like 90% accurate. If you just win that, you usually win most games. If you win them both, so I can lose the turnover battle, but really win the explosives and win the overall thing. If you win them both and win it, you usually win. So, we're still haven't taken the ball away. I mean, we had 101 snaps on offense and didn't turn the football over. Didn't turn the football over the week before. So when you're throwing as much as we are, you'd think you'd probably have some picks. And we have, the turnover came on special teams. I might be wrong on that the week before. I think I'm right. But so that's toxic. So what we would really like to do is start taking the ball away a little bit more. We had chances. We caused a fumble. We didn't get it. He picked it up and he threw it for a first down. We had a ball that got tipped up in the air. We didn't pick it off. So that to me would really get things going in this direction, because I think we're going to go like this. But if you want to go like this, you have to start winning toxic. And so the whole point of it is, if you don't want to have turnovers, then you can be really conservative, but then you're not going to have a ton of explosive plays. So it's figuring out which players, which quarterbacks, which offenses can be really explosive, but still also not turn the ball over. And so it's this balancing act, right? And so you can be really aggressive on defense and sell out and try to get a lot of turnovers, but you're going to give up a lot of big plays too. So it's who can be efficient and explosive at the same time. And so we're significantly better than we were last year. I mean, the numbers are staggering. We're protecting the ball way better than we did last year. We're just not getting it out. And we had a lot of efficient plays. We weren't able to have a lot of explosive plays on Saturday on offense. They just kind of stayed on top of us and wouldn't let us get behind them.
Matt, John Lovett's status?
So he left the game with a head injury, and he's in the protocol right now. So that's sort of a day-by-day thing. Each day they report, the doctors report where he's at. So I'm not sure if he'd be ready for Saturday or not.
Was Greg Roberts especially motivated playing against his dad's old team, or what do you think it was?
Well, I think if you listen week in and week out, I've been saying he's getting better and better and better. I had his first sack the week before, and I think the biggest thing is that Greg he does it in practice. He really believes in practice. He practices till exhaustion, and he's playing that way. And so you talk about a guy that's been here for 4 years. He's in his 5th year. He's coming into his senior year and hadn't had a sack. And, he had 2 against OU on Saturday, had 1 the week before. So he's played 2.5 games, whatever he's played, 3.5 games. And he's got 3 sacks already. And so, if there's positives, I thought our front 4, between Ira and Lynch and Greg, there were times where they looked really, really impressive. And I thought they played really, really well at times. But Greg was really a story. I know it probably meant a lot to be there. I know he saw his dad after the game. But I also know he's a guy to me that's recognizing that, it's coming to an end. This journey's coming to an end, and I want to play my best football at the end of my career. And he's practicing like that. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for our young players is he's practicing like that, and that's why he's playing like that.
Coach, Denzel Mims now in the last 2 games against Oklahoma has caught like 22 passes for more than 300 yards. Does he up his level of play for that level of competition, or is it because the way the game developed? And is that the kind of production you're looking for on a consistent basis from him?
Yeah, Denzel can do whatever he wants. He probably could have had 4 or 5 more catches. He had a couple that were drops or knocked away that he could have made more plays on. I think he's a guy that's coming into his own right now. And really, it's just kind of the way they played, right? I mean, they sort of at times, they gave him free access. There was no one, they played off him. We were able to just pick it up and throw it out to him. So that's really happened the last 2 years. So they've tried to take away the explosive plays, but which they did a great job of, and give him some of those underneath ones. So a lot of the other teams we played, he didn't play in the Duke game, but other teams, they got up on him and they played him in bump and run. And this team was a little bit more off of him. But he's developing. He's becoming a really good player and a good teammate, and I'm sure he'll continue to take steps, week in and week out. He's working really hard at it.
Matt, is a guy like Marcus Jones an inspiration to you as a coach?
I think Marcus Jones is one of those guys we're going to look up someday, and he's going to be playing for the Patriots. He's just he's everything that's right about football. He works hard. He's unselfish. He blocks. He'll play whatever position, even if he knows he's not going to get the ball. He'll run to get the next guy open. He's a tremendous student. He has dreams and aspirations in his life, far beyond just football. And I think the biggest thing is his production now is starting to happen. Right? He had catches on Saturday, and he had catches just doing his job, catching the football, and making plays. And so he, to me, I think because he had walked on, his football goals were like this, and I think he's now starting to see, wait a minute, I can really do something in football. I can be a really, really great player. And so I think his goals are getting higher and higher, and that's all I want for our players is, set your goals really high, right? And so just like I know he wants to be a rocket scientist at Tesla someday, and that's his goal. I also want him to have, first team All Big 12 as a senior goals, and I think he can achieve a lot of his goals because he's so fast, he's so talented, but he's also so unselfish.
Given the way that Kansas State plays, maybe not to the extent of an Army or a Navy where they just keep, play a little ball control, keep it away, not going to give you a lot of mistakes. Does that put pressure on the offense to take advantage of the opportunities when they do get the ball out there? Yeah,
and they're playing good defense. I mean, they held a great Texas team to, I think Texas scored 10 points against them. They had a punt return and a safety. So they're covering people. I mean, they're up in your face. They're covering people. They are physical, strong, stout on defense. Coach Norwood is doing a great job there. Coach coached here, and his son played here and was working here. So I've known Coach Norwood a long time. He's doing a great job. And I think the biggest thing is because they do play, that style is you have to take advantage of your opportunities when you have them. And this can't be a game where we go out in the first half and we have 2 penalties on the first drive. Can't be a game where we drop the ball. This has to be a game where, you go out there and you take the plays when they're there and you execute and understand that they're not going to they don't make mistakes. I mean, they're a veteran group. Like George DeLeon came back to work yesterday, which was awesome. And he was talking to one of our players and he was saying, because I've been watching TV, watching all these games, you see all these teams. You see Oklahoma State and TCU and all these teams like Kansas State that have been in their system for a long time. And so they know how they play and they know what they do. And those kids on offense and defense at Kansas State have been there for 5 years, know what they do. And they're not going to give you anything. You're going to have to go earn what you're doing. And so we'll have to make the plays when they're presented. And we'll have to matriculate the ball down the field. And the running game will have to continue to improve. And so they're going to keep it away. You're not going to have probably 101 snaps. So you better take advantage of the ones you do have. But that's not pressure. That just means to relax and go play. I think when our team relaxes, and that's why I think early in the game, a lot of kids are going up playing as hard as they can, and then as we kind of settle into the game, we start to settle down and we play better. So I think the trick this week is just let the guys settle down and go play and keep the main thing, which is just playing ball.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, almost midway through the second year of Coach Snow's scheme, is the defense where you thought it would be at this point, or are there areas where you thought they could be better?
Yeah, well, we need to be better. I think Phil feels that way. I feel that way. We're giving up too many long passes, and I thought last week was against Kansas. I was pleased with that. Obviously, you step up, you play a top 5 team. You got to make your plays, and you look at some of the catches they made. The football's a game of making plays. I mean, they caught a ball behind his head. They fumbled the ball, picked it up, and threw it for a first down. The first touchdown the kid made in the end zone. I mean, ball down the sideline. They made a lot of plays. And so for me, it's just, defensively, let's take one more step this week. I think we'll have a much better feeling about where we are on defense when we get to the bye week. Like we're going to play this style this week, then we're going to play another team, and then go to the bye, and then really kind of look at where we are. Defensively, we're healthier than we have been. Tyrone came back last game. BJ's out there. Deontay was out there. So, as I came in yesterday into the staff, I said, hey, the only thing that matters right now is this week. And so address last week, learn from it, move on, find the good things. Find the 31 minutes where we played with them, and let's go move forward. And so we'll see. I think defensively, we'll see really a lot about ourselves this week, of who we are and what our identity is and how we're going to play.
How did Blake do it, outside linebacker?
I played well. I mean, he had some plays. I'm sure, like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he'll make. He's been kind of had to bounce back and forth because of everything. But I believe in Blake Lynch a lot, and I believe that it's all going to click for him. And as I told him, there's no doubt in my mind that if he just continues to do this process of day in, day out practicing, if he just does what Greg Roberts and those guys are doing, that we'll look up someday and he'll be really something special. And so he's doing it. So I see him doing it. He got in the game. He played. It's his first time now being able to come back and watch himself really at Sam and saying, how'd I do? So I'm hopeful that, again, him as a guy, as I said, in 2 weeks after getting to that bye week, can catch his breath, look back and say, okay, where am I? And I think we'll be happy with where he is.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
2 questions. Do you think that Oklahoma is as good or better than last year? They had a Heisman quarterback last year, and they trying for one this year. And then do you think that historically Kansas State does not play as well in Waco? Do you think they? Have you noticed that?
I had heard Tom Herman's comments about how Mac Brown had told him about how well they play at home, when they're at home. I have such reverence for Coach Snyder, and I know that we played against him last year. I just remember walking across the field during the game, being like, "This Kansas State team's a tough, grown, rugged team. It's my kind of team." I was like, so I know they're going to come in here and come right at us. They're going to come right at us. They're not going to come here. They're going to come right at us, and so we'd better be ready. With regards to Oklahoma, I walked off the field and said, well, that's a top 4 team. That's a college football playoff team. So I thought they have great players, great scheme, and I thought the quarterback was really, really, really special.
Matt, do you see much difference between the 2 K-State quarterbacks?
Slight, but they both, they're going to run their system, and their system puts such pressure on you, and I think they're both really good players. They can both run it, they can both throw it. They have kids who can get open, and the biggest thing is they do a lot of downhill physical RPOs, which make it hard, and I think they're both excellent at what they do. I really do.
What do you see from Alex Barnes, their running back?
Well, we played against him last year, and he'll bully you. He'll beat you up, and I have a lot of respect for him because not only will he run the football, but he also is the lead blocker on a lot of their quarterback runs. And last year, especially in the red zone, they really hurt us with the quarterback draw and quarterback runs. We had some chances to stop them and keep that to be a closer game, and those plays really hurt us. So to me, it's about stopping the run and explosive plays, and it starts with Barnes, but it's also the quarterback and the quarterback run game. I mean, it's really as well thought out an offense as you'll see. I mean, it's really, really hard to defend from a X's and O's standpoint.
Coach, you said before how much faith you have in Sean Bell and him working with the offensive line, but does Coach DeLeon coming back and having that experience, can that provide a boost for that rep?
Yeah, and I want to make sure I say it again. I felt like our O-line took a step this past week. We were playing a significant opponent, and some of the sacks were like all out, like send the house, right? So it's got to get the ball out of your hand, which I thought we made an adjustment, and it hit Mims on a couple slants in the 4th quarter, which really helped. But anytime you can have George DeLeon around, it's worth it. And, he was, even in the last couple weeks when he's been bedridden, he's been sending us, here's my goal line thoughts, here's my short yardage thoughts. And but anytime we can have George around, just for the entire staff, for our players, It's so important. And I think for our players, it sends a real message. And I started out by saying, this is all supposed to be about the players, right? Who is standing up for our players? And here you have George having this surgery, and he's back in the office last Monday, 2 weeks before he's supposed to be in the office. He's in there today. He's not supposed to be in there yet. Doctors said no, but George is going to be in there because he's for our players. And I think that's a message that our offensive linemen will appreciate. I know how much they care about him. And I think Sean Bell is doing a great job. He's, you're not supposed to take your left tackle and have to move him to left guard, and then move back to left and then move him to left guard. Like we've had to do some movement. But it is what it is. We're not gonna cry about it. And those guys are gonna get better and better and better each week. So, but yeah, I'm really grateful to have George around on a personal note. He means a great deal to me, and he brings a work ethic to the building that's valued, and from a schematic standpoint, technical standpoint, he always adds a lot.